Monday, man. Super Bowl week.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl week in LA.
I'm tired already.
Are you going?
Yeah, that's the plan.
When you leaving?
Wednesday.
So this is our only show?
I don't know yet. Maybe not. We'll get it. I gotta figure out. I gotta really evaluate it.
On if you're gonna go or not.
Yeah, because
dude, I'm with you. I had tickets. I had a dope ticket offered to me. And it's like in LA, there's no way you can't carve it any other way but take 3 days.
Right. So
and I just can't do that.
I don't travel well. Like when I fly out places or when I'm like, I could kind of maybe let that momentum when I get to the city.
Yeah.
But when I come back,
yeah,
I've never been that guy to get off the plane and go train or go do some stuff like that. So I'm gonna miss a couple days. Then I don't know what LA prices are normally, but like, yo, everything is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know LA enough to like just go.
It's not like Tampa
and get the hotel. I don't know what if Inglewood is gentrified yet, or if it's still like it was. To California people's defense, yes, I'm stereotyping. Yes, it's kind of terrible, but like, I like blue. I like red. I don't want to go there with gray and just wear gray the whole time. I don't want to have to know I'm in this neighborhood.
Isn't that done? Like
No.
as long as you are in like
No,
you're saying you don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I'm going. Like
I got you.
And I'm not finna, and I looked at because
I told you we did a camp.
Here's why. Like, dog, the hotels, like the media hotel, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
What is it?
I mean, you talking like $400-500 a night.
Oh, I thought it would have been more than that.
I mean, well, let me rephrase that. When I looked 2 weeks ago, that's what it was. It could be up. A-lofts are like $500-600 a night, and I'm like, just not ready to spend that. Like, I don't spend that kind of. That's resort fees to me. And
I need to look and see where we stay because we stayed like Redondo Beach area.
Okay.
And it was reasonable. We did a camp, and the camp was in Compton. And
Compton's a little gentrified now, right?
It is, yeah. But we were in Compton, and I'm looking at as they're handing out the jerseys, and quarterbacks wore red and receivers wore blue, and I'm like,
yeah. And like, it's people are like weird.
I never forget that either. That's the day Kobe died.
Yep, I remember that. It was funny because we blamed you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like it's like even with football, like they'll give you like grace, kind of like you can't help. Like, you know, there's been some players that that people have alleged are game bangers that like, hey, I'm with the Giants, I can't help it. And even now, it's kind of like some of it's a little bit of.
I didn't even think about that.
A little bit of change, but like I've never had to deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with it, and you wouldn't have to deal with it, which just sucks. Like, I'm the one who's going to have to deal with it because, man, that's a minority. I can't even just say black people. That's a minority thing.
No. I'm saying you think it's still like that though.
Just something like the only reason I think I had my boy Omari, who's my buddy, who's a barber in Tampa. Like, a year ago, I got cleaned up by him, and he was talking about how he went to Nipsey Hussle because that's where I would really like to go to shop at the Marathon store, see the mural, blah blah blah. That's a blue area.
Oh, okay.
Everything surrounding that area is all red.
So you got to wear gray.
So he actually
plain gray.
He wasn't even thinking about it, and he was rocking red. But he was with somebody who was from LA, so he had a tour guide. The guy didn't tell him, and he goes in there, and they're like, "What's up, cuz? What's up?" This like, and he's like, and then they heard him talk. They're like, "Okay, all right, you're not from around here. They'll give you a pass if you're not from around it." The problem is, not everybody is as willing to investigate sometimes as these gentlemen were.
Right.
And I don't have time to be
quick to assumption.
Yeah, have somebody coming up and doing telling me to doing a G check on me, but I'm just out here trying to be half of a tourist and trying to be a journalist. So that's just, I mean,
I got you.
Again, I'm clearly stereotyping an entire group of people, and I apologize to you for that, but that's why when I talked about last week, why I hate Tyler Perry videos, like, your rap music is great. I love it. I grew up on Ice Cube and Pac and all these other cats. They left a very good impression on me. So like, I just don't, that worries me.
Culture
slightly.
was noted.
Yeah, I was noted. I respect you guys as gangsta out there. So I don't want to get shot.
Well, big news this weekend in Jacksonville was the press conference for Doug Peterson. For the record, and this is Sports Time, by the way, brought to you by ABC. You don't need to know. You're like, ABC is Super Bowl week. If ABC still has anything left on Sunday, I'm going to be disappointed in y'all. Like, this is the final week of football, and then you can just kind of take about a 2-month break until draft.
Well, people drink heavily during March Madness.
I'm just trying to help their liver recover a little bit.
But I'm saying you get 2 weeks.
Oh, you think that's enough?
2 weeks is like, you can be like, look at what happened with the world when we rested for 2 weeks.
That's true.
You never know.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, but still party like it's the end. Go to ABC, always be celebrating. Get all the good stuff for the Super Bowl.
Actually, before we get in to the Jags thing, I have
it's a bigger story than
never mind. Like, it's the first time in my life I've ever kind of been like hungover right now.
You're hungover? Oh, from the last night?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not the first time.
But I don't think it was.
It's not the first time.
You're right. It's not. But like for a while, I'm hurting. But I don't think it was the liquor though.
I can tell you. I can tell you the date.
Oh shit.
We were the same way.
I forgot.
Actually, I can tell you 2 dates.
I forgot. Like I'm on antibiotics, but there was liquor provided for me, and I'm telling people, don't do that. Don't mix that combo. It's not good. I'm gonna wait until next week, and maybe.
Not a good endorsement for ABC right now. We just told everybody to go ham.
I'll probably forget and be an ABC and going ham again. But I just thought like that. The talk just made me think about all the copious amounts of liquor we had at the comedy show yesterday.
Yeah, that went well.
Yeah, actually, it was bigger than I thought. We're gonna now on Wednesday. Like if he don't show up on Wednesday, I'm gonna roast him. But if he shows up, like we're gonna
do Bobby.
I want to talk to Bobby about it. Wasn't bad.
I don't know about what you told me earlier. What you said earlier,
it was just a tough crowd. I actually like what he said, but it doesn't. But
we have recording of it.
Oh yeah.
Could we break it down game like?
I wanted him here.
Game
like, so
tape
what
style.
We could do, Coach Mr. Go 30.
Yeah.
Style. Like we want to be able to bring it up, be like, hey man, here's where
we're just watching film.
Here's where you went wrong with your delivery and just like where you stood and things
because we're both stand-up comedian experts.
I'm not a stand-up comedian, but I like to laugh. And I was watching because I'm like, man, okay, we gotta. But
was he the very first person?
Y'all
set my man up. Y'all set my man up to fail.
Tez came in, and Tez had a hard time warming up the crowd, and that's when I was just like, oh shit, come on, Bobby. And okay, we got to get into the Jags, but I just got to talk about this moment.
This was at Goodfellas, by the way.
And why, if Bobby ever want, like, if like April 9th, when we go to Tallahassee for the spring game, I'm trying to put a comedy show the day before. And Bobby's free to be the opening act. He is so different and so freaking, like, actually not really. He's the book Bobby. You know how he had the book and was crossing?
Yeah.
That's Bobby, like, before he's getting ready to get on stage. Bobby was, everybody else comes in, Tez is relaxed, the other comedians all straight off the dome, remember, like, but Bobby's in there, like, with parchment paper, like, in a pen. He goes in the corner, and he's in that thing, scribbling, erasing. Like, I'm like, yo, my man. He was so focused that, and this was dope. His dad came in town, surprised him.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No, the dad didn't reveal that he was there until after he did it. So.
Okay.
And that's why I made sure if he didn't say anything, I wasn't saying because I didn't want him to be nervous. His dad, like literally where you're at right now, Miles is where Bobby was at.
Okay.
Bobby is over there scribbling, then looked up, then looked this man in his, I saw him look this man in his face 5 times. He had a mask on. But the point is like, I ain't seen my dad since I was 17. If that man walk in here with a mask, I'm probably gonna recognize my dad.
Right.
You know,
especially after 1 or 2 glances.
Yeah. I'm like,
you're gonna do a double take.
At worst, I'm gonna be like, And he was looking at him. This dad was looking at. I'm
That's
like, I
hysterical.
would be like, why this man looking at me? And two, like, hold up. I know that cheek structure. That cheek structure looked like my cheek structure. I know it did. Like, but anyways, Bobby did fine. It was fun. It was a great time all around. But it was funny how serious, how much, like when you see somebody in a different element.
Yeah,
it was because
their craft.
Because part of me, like I said, I would rip him, but like I was so in awe that he was like really trying that hard that it just like I'm like, yo, I can't go up here and throw a phone book at this kid while he's doing this. Like he's really doing, like he's trying. So I think he's gonna be fine. But anyway, my bad.
And it was an older crowd too. That's one thing I will say.
Like when we say older
compared to my age or up.
I mean, that's who spends the money, Bobby. You got to relate. Like
okay, so the one,
right?
The one he threw up in here is the one that he bombed at the last show with.
What?
But it was he didn't do the tweaks. I think he got nervous. He didn't tweak it the way I told him to tweak it. The all the recipes are gone. The dead relatives. He came out with that, and he just, again, when we go through, we got to get the video clip by clip. It's so much that goes into that, like your delivery, the way you talk, your tone, inflection. I just think he didn't inflect the right time.
What we should do, we should do this the right way, and we should get a comedian on the show who breaks down the game film. Because if we do it, like we're amateur, like we don't even know what we're talking about. We should get somebody to help Bobby out. We should get a mentor for Bobby.
I'm gonna text Benji, and I'm gonna send my dog Benji the film.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. Like,
Benji, I need you to,
because I
need you to break down this film from.
I want to help
man.
Bobby, because Bobby wants to do this. My man's grinding. I mean, y'all, this dude is passing out flyers at Florida Theater and Jack.
He came with the flyers full.
Like he's old school, ready to work.
He also has to do a better job. He came in pretty deep. He had like 7 or 8 people with him.
Mm-hmm.
They were younger, but what they can't do is they can't be intimidated. So I told my guy brother this when he said he wanted to be a rapper, not the good one, but like he's now, if he ever comes down, be like, dog, you 30, 33, 34 years old, bro. It's time to give it up.
He's in his prime.
Work.
Let that man live his dream.
Like if you were rapping,
let that man live his dream. He's in the prime. He done been through some stuff now.
What I told him was, like, dude, this is what you got to do. Go find like your friends, 50 of them. Anytime you go to like these open mics or these things, they gotta be there and they gotta be rapping your lyrics, because you know what's contagious? Energy.
Yep.
So like they weren't sitting there, like, because if 3 or 4 people start laughing hard, at worst they may laugh. Other people may laugh at the laughs.
That's right.
But they were nervous too, and they were like these.
You know what they need? We got the solution nerds. Give that to the friends.
I think I gave. I think Bobby had a couple drinks, but like
no, give that to the friends.
Right.
Bobby need to. No, Bobby,
I think
don't
if
touch
those
that.
Friends,
but.
I think if those friends would have been sitting in front of him, that it gave him some familiarity, some comfort, and if they would have laughed or like known where he was going, the other people around would have been able to do that.
Bobby, we're here for you, man.
But we're gonna critique this. We're gonna break this down.
We're gonna get content. You. No, absolutely.
Doug
Peterson was introduced on Saturday.
Yes,
Saturday. Yes, he was introduced on Saturday. We talked a little bit about Doug Peterson on Friday, but I think the press conference was what everybody wanted to see, and enough so that Doug Peterson was fine. Doug Peterson is a good hire for where this franchise is right now. But Doug Peterson was not the focus of that franchise or of that press conference. Yeah. Shad Khan, for the first time since he is on the team, was not cool. Shad Khan, you know what I mean? Like
he was billionaire douche.
Usually, when you see Shad Khan, you're like, yeah, that dude's got something to him. He's got an aura about him. Dude, they had that man like, I thought he was drunk, damn near slurring his words. Like,
you know why? For the first, you remember we talked about this, like, why do people say Jacksonville media is not like For the first time, you saw the Jacksonville media treat him like every other media like treats people that they got kind of a gripe with.
Dude, the media came out fired up.
And what was wild about it, and it doesn't change my opinion of him. I still dislike him, even though I don't necessarily, I'm not with that gang no more. But I'm still going. He came after one of our own. I still don't like Gene. I still don't understand why Gene Fournette did what he did, like the one time. But when Gene Fournette came out firing,
he set the tone.
I was like, yo, he was listening to our show the other day when we said Mia got the biggest balls in the room, and he decided to show like, nah, dog, this is my room, because I was really expecting only Mia to come out there and spit fire. But
everybody did for the most part. Hayes and Mia and Brent, Gene, like all of them kind of went after what needed to be asked. Now they didn't, like we said the other day, you're not ever going to get the answer. And I think that's part of the frustration when you're in media is, okay, I'm going to be that person.
How hard do I really press?
But I'm still not going to get what I want out of it. I think this became more about the question, less about the answer. And it became one of those things where, okay, Shad, yes, you on the team. We can't do anything about that. But we're about to throw some accountability on this.
Facts.
This is getting old. And regardless of what he said, I think that there was a little bit of like a sigh of relief, a collective sigh from all of Jacksonville area, because those questions were asked, right? And so it's like, and Shad's not this, but it's the only analogy I can come up with. It's the bully that gets flexed on and flinches, right? That's all it is. And it's just, you get the joy from that. And now that bully's like, well, I can't just run all over all these people, right? There's going to be accountability with this. So yeah, I think that was the takeaway. And it was awkward. It was hella awkward, bro. I was listening. I was training. I went out to the Jeep and turned it on. I was listening. And dude, the first 15 minutes were cringeworthy. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh. Like, because he's not going to say anything. But they're just hitting him. Bam, bam, bam. If you would have just said at the beginning what he said 45 minutes in about we're going to hire an EVP, it would have been less cringeworthy.
Right. I think that's, and I don't know who the PR guy is.
It's not Tad anymore.
But that's where I think the comfortability and the relationship that Tad had with him would have helped him a lot more. Like, here's how we're going to structure.
Should have been an
our
opening
statements.
remarks.
We're going to. Actually, you know what? Not to use an AD first name. It's a Chad Scott reference. What he used to tell us when we were starting our show: don't bury the lead.
Say it 5 times if you want to.
Come out. He's like, come out hot. If that's what if that's what you got and that's your best thing, don't save it. You may not have that. You may not have the ability. Actually, Bobby, don't bury the lead. Best joke first, because you may not have time to come back. My bad. Just made me think about it.
I like it.
But like
little moments of wisdom.
I think that that's where like Shad is just like we're going to, and I think he's been avoided the entire really this season. He's been really
since it went south with Urban.
And I think he felt like he used that same energy, that same tactic, but you haven't had to be in front of people. Well, so it doesn't work when you're.
I almost think like he was judging the room too, because the first question that Gene asked, the answer was not in there. Like, he did not even address the question. But the more it got asked, and that's the benefit of having a media that was in there, ready to go, is okay. Yeah, Gene, you set the tone. We're not going to let it die. We're going to keep piling on. And then he started to give some answers. But the answer everybody wanted to know was the job offered to other people? How did we settle? How did we end up with Doug Peterson when he was the first one? We could have hired him 3 weeks ago. And what's the deal with Ben over there in the corner?
Right.
Like, what's the deal with him? And if he would have, in his opening statements, if he should have addressed all of those. The first thing he should have said after announcing Doug Peterson, because that's who it's supposed to be about, was we are also looking for an EVP right now.
Right.
Like, that should have been out there, because
what? Even if he didn't say we're looking for an EVP, we're going to upgrade our front office.
Right.
Like, we're going to have more horses. And that leaves.
Well, if he was going to say EVP later, why not say it?
Right.
There?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was just saying you can leave it up to the interpretation that you want, but the questions that if you're again, I don't ever call for people's heads or jobs, but if your PR person didn't prep you enough to be like, yo, here are the 3 things we're going to get hammered with.
Mhm.
We better have enough of an answer to kind of get to be able to shift or be able to always go back to it. Like you said, why if you had Doug Peterson, why did you hire him weeks ago? All right, fine. We wanted to go through the process. We had about 5 candidates. Doug was available first, but we really wanted to get a chance to.
Dude, I would have
look at these
respected
guys.
if you'd have said we love Doug the first time, but then we had to interview a couple black guys. If you'd have just even said it like that, I'd have been like,
but do you know how you can walk away and not have the New York Giants or the Miami Dolphins heat? We interviewed Doug, but then man, we had a couple other candidates that we had to hire, and one of them wowed us.
Mhm.
And we wanted to explore that more. You didn't even have to mention that it was Byron. People would have already assumed that it was Byron. And you know what you just did?
help Byron.
You helped Byron, but you also you helped the NFL. You helped with
Yep.
all of this stuff. Like we really wanted to explore this. We wanted to look for.
And I guess my bigger point was just sometimes saying the truth, obviously not the way I just said it,
yeah.
is far and away the best way to approach. But I'm not even going to put this on PR though.
Who would have done this? Been a little bit more blunt.
Who?
And why he doesn't get? This owner doesn't get ripped up by the media. That's Jerry Jones. National media might rip Jerry Jones up, but local what Jerry does on the
Jerry's
day-to-day,
got a radio show every week,
right? But what I'm saying with Jerry controls his narrative. Hell, Shah Khan got a whole station that he has that he can have whatever he wants to have on there. Remember, they boot actually live TV, live radio shows for rebroadcast.
Yeah.
Like he can say, but
we have experienced that.
My point is he can go in there and talk about that. We're gonna get better front office. Now, the lie that he probably shouldn't have said. I don't know who said it. I read this is that we consulted former Jaguar alumni, and every Jaguar player that's kind of prominent is saying they ain't talk. Who he talked to? Log and Baselli? Because he damn sure, Freddie T's like, wait a minute, ain't nobody talking to me about nothing. I'm over here in Las Vegas doing Pilot or whatever, Pivot, whatever the name of this new podcast is. Ain't nobody call me for nothing. But
he's not on.
No, they broke from I Am Athlete.
I didn't know that.
They've been Channing, and then now I Am Athlete is they're cool with Chad because Chad came on their pod. They're obviously cool with what's it? Is Brian? I can't think of the receipt. Brandon Marshall. They're not cool with Brandon.
That's really interesting.
So it's Brandon and Chad. He tried to do the same thing, but it don't have the same flavor and feel. Like DJ Williams was a hell of a football player. Trust me. I got a chance to experience. Actually, the only time I've ever been bested that I can really think of was by DJ Williams. Where it was clear cut. He got me. But he's not Channing. Now, some people may think Channing is obnoxious and over
Channing
the top.
makes the show.
But he's hilarious.
Channing and Fred make the show. Channing and Fred make the show.
The fact that Channing looks like a Muppet, his face is so, and what's it, Animal? Don't go look up Animal from the Muppets and then go put Channing Crowder right next to each other. You're gonna be like, oh, I see it now. I
haven't watched anything from this.
No, it's actually and what they did was they found a better version of Brandon, but Brandon and I ain't watching it because of Brandon. Ryan Clark is really good at just media in general.
Yeah.
I think if somebody was going to say this is who you want to be like this is who I want former athletes to sound like. Ryan Clark.
Him and Nate Burleson.
Yep, Nate. And
Nate's incredible.
I'm gonna give my dog B-Mac. Brian McFadden some real good props. But the reason why I say that is not I don't you may not agree with everything they say. That's fine. But the X's and O's side and being able to formulate his own opinions and not sound like the days of that former athlete becoming the Chris Carters of the world, even though he's starting to change a little bit too much, but where this player is bad. They should not do this. We don't do this. Where you're trying to sound like the people who used to cover our culture. And I don't mean our culture being black. I mean literally athlete culture in general, white, black, whatever. Now they're nah, this is what we do. Similar to I first time I heard, and I forgot where it was, a former athlete check somebody on celebration. And it sounded like stuff that I say. I tell people, man, I work my ass off to score touchdowns. And I only got 10 of them in my whole career. If I could go back and talk to James Coleman like 2003, 4, 5, I say, nah, no, celebrate, because you don't know when your last touchdown is going to be.
Yeah.
And you ain't going to never be able to celebrate again. But like, I can explain that to somebody better than a guy who's never been through Magic.
That makes sense. I just didn't know they broke up. I haven't watched them at all. What do you think? Oh, real quick on your PR department, I'm gonna tell you why I don't buy that. Why? And everybody's saying like that whole PR thing, bro. Shad Khan was at a game where clown faces were at. He ain't that blind.
No,
his son is very
knows.
engaged in social media. At worst, his son should have walked up and said, "Yo, pops, listen, here's what we're gonna get." Assuming, I mean, if Shad is that disconnected, then I think we've got the problem. We figured the problem out.
Shad is that disconnect.
Dude, there's no way you can sit at a game with clown faces and hashtag fire Balky with a plane that flew something over with it and go,
right.
It's impossible. Nobody's that high.
Yes, but the problem is this, man. Like, he hasn't said anything then, and you know who's still. This is how I know he's that disconnected. All of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who's still on the staff? Like, from what, if I really want to believe my source, because he's never lied to me, and there's no reason to lie to me. Tony's told him what's going on and what he should do. He ain't listening to his own son. He's listening to everybody else with this, because the way the text started was like, we're gonna be all right when Shad just lets Tony run the team. And I was like, and I was ready to jump down Buddy's throat when he said that. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
But then but how I am, if you present me a counter to my argument, you better bring if you bring proof, I got to at least read it and be like, all right, there's something to it. Yep. If you just say it's going to be better because it's then that don't make no sense. But like, I think he's a billionaire. He's a powerful man that thought he was going to come in. He's a billionaire talking to a bunch of thousandaires. So he figured he was going in there. He was going to just be able to say what he wanted to say. And people need to be happy that the Jaguars have a team.
You know, but here's the thing. That's going to sound really bougie. But in the last 2 years, like, I've been around 2 billionaires a lot. Dude, they know everything. Everything they've got their hands in, they know more than you know. They know what the feeling is, what the market is. They know everything about these things. That's why I just can't get behind he's an absentee owner, because like one of the billionaires that we actually do a lot of work with, he has his hands in a lot. And our thing is such a small piece, but bro, he'll text me and he knows this, and this is going on. And that's how they got to be billionaires.
Right. Again, I'm not saying he doesn't know. I'm saying he doesn't care. And you don't got to be a billionaire to get it's millionaires that get it's guys with $10 in their pocket that when they lock in and they feel like they're better or they know something, they lock in. And a lot of, or worse, when you've had success in everything that you've done in life for the most part. And
by the way, financial success he's still having with the Jags.
And you're like, okay, you know, and you don't accept, because you don't get to where he's at by accepting failure. The only time most people fail, and even when I look at myself, the only time I've had businesses fail, and there could have been a reason why I got to that point. It's not that it wasn't justified, but I stopped trusting everybody around me. And I'm like, okay, these are all, to use Urban Meyer, y'all all losers. Y'all ain't won nothing.
Right.
I am going to get us out. And when I get us out, we're going to do this. The problem is, while you're building up those fences and doing all that to fortify yourself, you got to dig down. And the deeper you dig, that hole gets harder and harder to climb out of.
And it's not sustainable.
And I think that's the part of the reason. That's where Shad's at.
That makes sense. So did they get it right this time? I mean, I listen.
I like to hire. I do like to hire.
Nobody should hold anybody accountable for what they say about coaches, because at best it's a 70-30 in the negative proposition. That's the stats.
The NFL's it's built to be average at best, like to the average to elite to their elite standards at best. Mm-hmm. The problem, and the reason why he's here, is because we haven't even been able to be average
in a long time.
So like, if he and me, like, and I was talking on JFL, Jacksonville Football Legends podcast on Saturday. Actually, while everything was going on, I'm like, they're like, is he a better hire? Will he have pressure? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, pressure for what? I said, if my man, if he goes, and I keep forgetting we're on 17 game season. I'm like, if he goes 6-10, like, oh my bad, 7-10 or 6-11, he's exponentially better than where we were at.
Yep.
And that's like kind of the par for the course. Now you can't do that that's the bottom of average in the NFL. If he flips it in 2 years, he's already he's top 2.
The second best coach. And if he wins a Super Bowl, he's automatically there 1 because of the history, obviously.
Right.
But I would say if he goes to 3 or 4 years back-to-back playoffs, he may be the best coach because that one, and assuming one of those he wins a couple games.
Now, before I judge, here's where we have to here's how we truly judge the entirety of that. Who he brings in as his coordinators, are they just as known the depth on offense for developing young QBs as he has got the perception of? On defense, are you getting somebody who's nasty that, again, like I said, that embodies what the city is, that gives you what you want? And then lastly is, where is Balky in all of this? Is Balky still the GM, or are you bringing in, you're keeping him the GM title, but you're bringing in a guy like Spiegelman, who's Spiegelman, whatever, man, the dude from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Which is going to put you in I hope they're smarter than other people have been about, because you still got to go through the Rooney Rule process with that. But, whatever. He's never been said the candidate. That's always been where people said they're leaning. But again, I like his choices over the course of his career. I know
he's reputable.
Yeah, I know he'll be over that. And then are you bringing in an assistant GM that's similar? Perfect for me would be kind of how San Francisco got out of their hole, was they had the John Lynch, Martin Mayhew combo. John Lynch was the GM, no experience. Martin Mayhew's been having experience, but I know you can't get Martin, because Martin's with the Washington Commanders.
Well, I'm just going to use common sense. If I have a guy who's in place and he's under contract, I'm going to pay him anyway, and it's in a position that there's a lot of busy work, because there's a ton, and I openly say I'm putting someone above him and I'm putting somebody below him, so he is squeezed in the middle, right? Then I'm basically saying what I really think of the guy. Like, I think at this point, if that were to happen, if he were to bring in 2 names above and below Balky, essentially we're just letting this dude run his contract out.
Yeah.
And then we're getting somebody to develop relationships in the building, all that kind of stuff, to step in for him. That's essentially what's going on. I feel pretty good if that happens.
I would feel great if that happens.
I think Peterson is as good of a hire as what you could have hired. And I feel like I was asked early on for my top 3 at the flagship. And at the time, Hackett was 1, and I can't remember who was 2, but Peterson was 3. McDaniels was 2.
Okay.
And Peterson was 3. And if I go back to that, I'm like, why did I feel that way? And I don't think until we really started to hear Doug Peterson that I realized what he overcame in Philly to win and the success he had in Philly. I mean, we talk about Nick Foles being the MVP of a quarterback. Bro, the MVP of the league that year, if he'd have stayed healthy, could have been Carson Wentz.
Right.
I mean, when you think about, okay, you lose that guy, and then you bring in another guy who throws for 350 in a Super Bowl against New England.
And takes you, but bigger than that, wills you through the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah. Then I got to tip my cap. Like, you kind of know what you're doing. I don't think I ever gave him the proper credit early on.
I think the most impressive thing about all of that is obviously, the obvious stuff, winning a Super Bowl, but I don't think people understand practice structure in the NFL.
That's a good point. Yep.
So college, you got, for the most part, 24 periods. You run each period, you run 4 plays for the most part. 4 plays with the 1s, 4 plays with the 2s. Even if you run an up tempo, maybe you run 6. You only got 5 minutes a period.
Right.
So you're trying to accomplish certain things during that time. NFL, the ones get all the reps.
Mhm.
Like the twos,
And they don't get that many.
right? The twos reps are pure mental, video, and all these things. So for him to be able to have Nick Foles ready,
That's a great point.
like that means you have a system, a philosophy that's set up for players to be successful, and you know how to put your players in the best possible situation. You're not only a teacher, but you're also able to help them be able to apply the principles that you've taught them effectively on the field, which is like.
So you like the hire?
So how does that come into place? That means if Trevor ain't getting it or Trevor gets hurt, I'm not afraid that we're going to just most teams lose your starting quarterback, you're done.
Right.
But I do like the hire. I really fell in love, like the city of Jacksonville, with the idea of Byron Midas, the other fears I had. Balky being one, but like fear.
But did you fall in love with Byron? Or did you fall in love with Byron bringing in somebody to replace Balky?
More so, I think it was more so Balky, and what I was telling in a lot of media took the like you made up ground on Saturday. I'm gonna give you big props on that. The wrong take on Friday when it was announced was, well, I don't understand why everybody's hating on this and blah blah blah. No, people are hating on it because you've made you have a history of bad decisions, and they're not hating on Peterson. We just don't have any finality, or there's so many question marks surrounding Balky. So any hire looks like he was willing to work with Balky. Now, even if Balky was staying, which I believe he would turn out, and why I feel good about Peterson embodies what I embody. I will be if you either I like you or I don't. Mm-hmm. And most of the time you kind of know where you stand at. That does not mean I can't work with you. I might like you and like you enough to know that I can't work with you.
Right.
And I might not like you, but the money or the opportunity is so big that I can be a professional and do my job and have utter disdain for you. Unless you like really screwed me out of some money or did something really, really bad, I could get over that. But when I look at how his situation was with his GM in Philly, at worst, it would be the season that I would pray to have right now.
Right.
I think they won 6 games that year.
Yep.
And they had the situation where they didn't play starters. It was a whole bunch of other stuff. And when you kind of correct them, because that was my biggest fear, and I had a friend comment on my Facebook page about this as well, is talking about the candidates, fire. And I actually came to Peterson's defense on that. I was like, wait a minute. He wasn't fired because of his job. He was fired because his boss couldn't handle him anymore.
Right.
That's perfectly okay. 3 straight playoffs, Super
Bowl, yep. Former quarterback. Like he checks so many boxes.
And what's wild about it, and this is why I really feel he's a good coach. Yeah, and I hope it works. It might not work, but I hope it works. When he won that Super Bowl, or before he got the job, he was 5 years removed from coaching high school.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he had the NFL experience, and he had done some stuff, but he literally went to go coach high school.
Right.
Hopped into the NFL fast track.
Yep.
And then boom, he's here in this position.
He was no nonsense at the press conference.
Oh, my bad. The real cool thing about him is, so the Gus Jaguars.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're gonna get juice pops and lollipops, and we're gonna go out here. We're gonna give our best effort.
Mm-hmm.
Baloney boy. Mm-hmm. Then Herbs.
Yeah.
Who can't even really give a Duval.
No, it was all the 904.
Yeah.
Remember, it was the 904. Like
he comes in.
Oh, this ain't Ohio State.
Gives us a Duval, and then I started seeing like clips of him. Like somebody said, like chasing balls or something like that. And he laughed first. I'm like, oh, we got a little vulgar, like a little guy.
Dude.
We got a guy who we can relate to here. I would want to have people can lie and say they want to have a beer with Herbs. You just like the fact that Herbs is a winner. You don't truly want to have a beer with Herbs. You want the
picture of the beer with Herbs.
And then like you could say, like I was with Urban.
Right.
I like would literally, if he came to Goodfellas, like, hey man, what kind of cigar you want? What you drinking? Let's just chop it up, and we look like we might have a conversation about ball, about women, about like, whatever. And I agree. Before I see you coach, now hey, X's and O's is X's and O's. I'm gonna judge you by that. Mm-hmm. But That's a good sign if I can like you.
I like the answer. I don't remember who asked him. It was fair. It was like, since it's so late, are you going to have a problem hiring coaches? He's like, nope. Literally, it's like, nope, not going to have a problem.
And the dope part about that, and I said this on the podcast I was on, I was like, they're like, well, that's the same thing. I didn't even know what his answer was. I'm like, man, no matter what level I've ever seen head coaches get, they all have 3 coordinators
Mm-hmm.
on offense and defense that they would love to. You always have your staff, your skeleton staff on display. So like they know, like, so when that's those 3 guys that he has a good relationship with, that coordinator, when they saw the announcement,
Yep.
they're already prepping that. I know I might get a call.
Well, they probably already gotten a call from him
Before
at
they
that
even,
point.
before it even started. I'm going through the process. Are you available?
Yeah. No, so I thought it was all in all interesting, cringeworthy, but good. I also thought it was a good sign at the players that actually showed up to the press conference. In a weird way, people are going to make fun of me about this, but that's what you want to see out of your quarterback and your best defensive player. Like, you want to see those guys, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence. That's a small sign of leadership. Of it's the offseason. They hired a coach. I understand what's been going on here in Jacksonville. And so I'm just going to show up. They didn't have to show up. Nobody expected them to show up. I'm going to show up. Right. And I think James Robinson was there.
Which is a big sign.
Exactly.
Because he wasn't coming back.
Right. Right.
Like,
no, exactly.
And rightfully so.
Yep. And so I think all in all, it went as good as a press conference can go, and they're designed to go well. But that one got interesting, and it was fun. If you're Doug Peterson, what are you thinking during that press conference? Like, are you thinking, oh, crap, I just left Philly. Nobody told me. Everybody said Jacksonville was a retirement place. Nobody told me about this 5-foot, 120-pound girl that's ripping into the owner right here.
Right. Yes. I love
Mia, you're a superstar.
You know what, Mia? I'm gonna tell you this. Take that, like, because Reddit's found Mia, and like Reddit, I don't know, like, if people don't know what
I have
Reddit
a
is,
strong Reddit addiction.
like,
Addiction.
Reddit
right
can
now.
get you in rabbit hole, but there's like threads and threads of Mia. Take that. Let's cash in, baby. Like, go get you that big time job. I'm with you. I'm here. I'll support you. Whatever you got to go. Even if that means you leaving the First Coast News family, but her consistency is great.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's get to Northeast Florida Executive Health and Men's Spa. Just get over there. Like, we've told you everything they do. At this point, if you're not feeling well, that's kind of on you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you probably just need to, I don't know, be forced there at this point.
That part. That proton laser therapy treatment, I was talking with him, and Lavernius Coles, Wayne, and Wayne Corbett.
Okay.
Both were on there, got on it. Wayne Corbett's career was
baller.
He was nice. Career was cut short because he had like 14 concussions. My man said he could barely remember his kids' names at times. He's never been a day without pain. Went in there, over a course of a couple of days, did a couple of those laser therapy treatments. He was just like, yo, he's like, I can move my neck. I can do this. So, like I'm saying, like, you obviously ain't got 14 concussions. Most normal humans don't. But if you got an elbow, you got some other things, that's the stuff that they do. And if you kind of come in, they can work with you to get it on your insurance. So a lot of the stuff that they do here is covered by insurance, but there's some of it's cosmetic. The bottom line is, if you look ugly, if you're not feeling and you're feeling ugly, you need to go to
exactly.
You need to come over here and get
to Northeast Florida Executive Health and Med Spa off St. John's Bluff Road, right by the UPS store. So if you see the UPS store, it's literally right next door. You said you had a lot of content, so I don't want to just take over.
No, dude, like, we talking sports. A lot of my content is like is just a lot of wild stuff is going on. But this is something I want to ask you. I just dropped this into the group chat, and the other thing that you dropped in, that weaves into I guess my technical head o'clock. Technically, my head o'clock. Multiple NFL evaluators say there's not a single starting quarterback in the 2022 draft. Like, is it really that bad? Or is it because there's been, like, we went through this wave of having the senior signal callers, then a bunch retired, and now we brought in this new wave of young, like, when you think about Arizona you got a young quarterback. Miami, young quarterback. Jacksonville, young quarterback. New York, multiple young quarterbacks. New England, young quarterback. There's only so many. Like Atlanta, is this guy coming in going to be a game changer?
To your next Matt Ryan.
Is he that much better than Matt Ryan? I don't know. Cincinnati, new young quarterback. Everybody has a lot of the franchises have young quarterbacks.
I mean, if you look at who needs a quarterback, it's Pittsburgh, it's New Orleans. Assuming they don't bring Jameis back, I don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what Deshaun Watson's doing. So to your point, like the fits are there's not a ton there. This class is interesting though, because when you start looking at it, I had said, I mentioned this like a couple months ago about Kenny Pickett and his hand size. I had somebody tell me, and Miles, I don't want this going up, but I had somebody tell me,
we're live
during Florida, Georgia. I know. But
okay, all right. You don't want the clip. All right. I got you.
Those little viral clips.
I got you.
I had somebody tell me that his hand size was really shockingly small. Like, the Whopper commercials.
Yeah, anytime that happens, it's I want to eat a Whopper, but I have these hands.
Well, and here's the thing, like I don't know if it matters. It does. It comes into play, and people say all the time, well, he's throwing a ball. Yeah, but
you're not getting that guy coming backside defensive end.
And the NFL ball
is big.
It's bigger,
wider.
Thicker.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, and it's like the conditions in the NFL are just different. Like and he was up in Pitt, right? So he's played up there in a little bit of that, but a lot of his games are down south in the ACC. I don't know that it matters because the dude has amazing anticipation and he chunks the ball, but what did he not do at the Senior Bowl?
He didn't play or he didn't throw.
He didn't let him measure his hands.
So
he did everything else.
So that means that's a weird one. Like don't run the. It's gonna come out, man. Like what is it? Like imagine our boy everybody thought was a little person. I just said his name, Kyler Murray. No, you can't measure me.
Well, you remember what he did though. He measured once,
and
he got the result he wanted.
But that was early. Like, so I'm with that. Like, get it out the way.
Yep.
Because what happened with me at the combine is when they said I was like 5'8" or 5'9". You damn real I measured again at my pro day. I said, what I'll be damned if that's how I'm going out and being remembered. Yep. I know I might not be 6 foot or 6'1" like FSU's media guy said, but I know I ain't that short.
I hate Kyler. I look down on Kyler.
Yeah. So, that's hilarious.
So he's always played with two gloves. So to your point, like I think there's unanswered questions, but he's a baller. And then you start looking at guys like Malik from Liberty, who had a great week, but there's just questions. Like, he's gonna go, sub 4.5 when he runs the 40. He's a big kid. Mechanically, he does some things that are unique to him, but I know the guys he works with, they've worked on it and it's worked. And so I think him and Matt Corral are the two that I would look at and go, they got a chance. They got a real chance. And then Pickett, just because the dude is a baller. He is an absolute baller, man. Like if you watch him, but we're coming off of a year where you had 5 guys, only one of them had a bunch of questions, and that's just because he played smaller ball and didn't play the year before. Where you felt like you had 5 damn near surefire certainties.
Right.
And it almost looks like you did. Like when you go back and you look at it,
like we're not really picking on our boy for the Bears.
No,
like
I think Justin showed like he's going to be that guy if you give him help. Trevor, obviously, Mac Jones.
Mac is the one who probably
he was in the Pro Bowl.
Like I'm saying, just made himself stand out even more.
Zach Wilson, people don't want to talk about it because 2 things. 1, he's with the Jets and they were bad, and 2, everybody hates his mom. He actually played really well. Like when you watch him play, there were a couple games where you go, this dude's going to be here for the next 10 years. The only one you don't know is Trey Lance because he hasn't had an opportunity yet. Right. But this draft is not that. And I think that's what people were coming off a year where at one point the rumor was the first 5 picks were going to be quarterbacks. Now the question is, where do you take the first quarterback? What's interesting is I saw somebody has Kenny Pickett number 1 on their big board now.
I saw
One of the draft guys.
The Cincinnati. Do you know? Are you familiar with the Cincinnati quarterback?
Yeah, Desmond.
I
Yeah.
think somebody say at 17 he was one of the first to go as well.
Yeah, he's interesting, man. I don't know. I think this is if you need a quarterback, I would look at, if you're looking for a long-term guy, I would look at Corral, I would look at Malik, and I'd look at Pickett. And then from there, I think the rest of those guys, like, you're forcing something.
And does it hurt that a lot of these guys don't have somebody that's already there successful that they compare to?
What do you mean?
So Sam Howell was one of the ones before this season started. Actually, since
He was going to be the number 1 overall pick.
Was like boom, 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 surefire, can't miss, and then games started playing. He'll be a lot like different type of quarterback, but I'm gonna put Van Dyke down in Miami in this situation where he's a really live arm, throws it, actually a ball player, but they ain't winning games. Like, yeah, you're throwing for over 300 something yards, but you're mid as a team.
Right.
Like, is it your fault? Why? Like,
that's a good point.
But I look at Sam Howell, and the only thing I could think about, even when I watched, I guess, was he? Yeah, I just thought he was in the Reese's. Are they letting underclass? I thought I saw him do something.
You just have to graduate.
Oh, okay. And that's the only way. Okay, I thought. All right. So I'm watching him, and I just can't look but think of him being a great value, Baker Mayfield.
No,
and I don't like Baker Mayfield.
So you're saying the comparisons of people already in the league, like
if I saw I'm trying to think. If I saw a 5'10" shifty quarterback with a live arm that knew good angles, there's 2 guys in the that was productive in college. There's 2 guys in the NFL right now that translate to that. That's Russell Wilson and that's Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. As a coach, do I feel he fits what I do? All right, but at least I have like some good to measure on.
Yeah, I think if you dug deep enough, you probably can find some comparables. I actually think that Corral's far and away got the best arm talent, but he's kind of been forgotten about because he's hurt.
Right. I think had he not got hurt, he would be the darling. He'd be the darling of the draft. I don't know what the Liberty kid looks like. I only know people talked about him highly last year and then most of this year, but then unfortunately quarterbacks get all the praise, but they're also measured off of wins and losses.
I know him really well because he was at Auburn when Joey was there.
Okay.
And then Sean works with him, and I know Sean really well. Sean's a good friend of mine. So I've kind of watched him come up. Dude, he's even at the NFL level going to be one of the 5 best athletes on the field. And that's the thing. Like,
that's crazy. If you're one of the 5 best athletes on the field at any given time.
He was that way at Auburn. And it was just like, why is this kid not getting in? I mean, he's just that athletic. And if he walked in right now, you wouldn't know if he was a quarterback or a linebacker. Like, he's yoked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing that fans got to realize, too, is that, the draft is cool. We'll hear these stories. It's just much like recruiting. You'll see all these guys. We're going to forget 90% of them because 90% of them are going to pan out. And will you have a guy, because now that I'm remembering it, I believe Derek Carr's year wasn't a real big quarterback year, but he was drafted high in the 2nd round. But I remember the thing that was one of the first times I heard people talk about a live arm, cannon arm. And that's why he wasn't drafted because of his anticipation. He wasn't drafted. He was drafted because he could drop back.
Was that Blake's year?
Might have been. Yeah. So
there was that. And then the year that I would compare this to was the year that Jared Goff and Carson Wentz went it too. And it was just teams that needed quarterbacks so badly that they were willing to make that jump.
Another thing, too, is like we talked about earlier about the GMs. We all came up together.
Well, we didn't talk about that on air, but.
Oh, we didn't? Okay, whatever. So that's an off topic. My point in all of this is if all these guys came up together and you're in the decision-making process, most of y'all were alive or actively choosing players during the Christian Ponder, again, Blaine Gabbert year, where there was a bunch of mid, but there were guys who were in situations where they needed, like the Vikings drafted Christian Ponder in the 1st round at the time, making him the actually the highest drafted quarterback in FSU history with not being anywhere close to the greatest quarterback. But they had a first round pick and then they didn't pick again to the 4th. So there was a run, and then the Jaguars that year traded to 10 to get Gabbert, and then that set off an avalanche of more quarterbacks being drafted.
Well, Jimbo, man, got some people paid.
EJ,
because EJ was top 10, wasn't he?
Yep, the fat one, Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, I forgot about him.
He was at LSU. James, like 3 in a row, which is crazy. Why more people wouldn't send. I'm grateful now, but like, stop sending kids to Jimbo. But when you think 3 quarterbacks in a row, all first round all first round picks.
Yeah, it's impressive. I don't know about the quarterback thing, but I do think with Doug Peterson here, the Jags draft just got clear. I think it's Evan Neal, and it's a wrap. I don't know that I agree with that because I don't know how. I think Cam actually played okay, but it just seems like with a quarterback as your head coach now, that protection is going to be key.
I guess what you're really looking at is if he just played okay. He's young, he's a left tackle, and he's okay. So that means he's going to command, let's say 10. I don't know. It might probably be more. But you could get Evan Neal for 4.
17, 18 probably.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
Evan's got a cap.
Yeah.
And if he's just okay,
we
feel Evan's going to be there. Personally, I really wish, and I know this isn't going to happen because there's no quarterbacks.
Yeah,
there's nobody else. There's nobody else that's just that sexy or that dominant that makes you want that number 1 overall pick. Because I think if you were able to trade back and somehow figure out how to get 2 first-round picks, give me Charles Cross from out of Mississippi State and then a wide receiver. And I think now Cross ain't going to drop to 20. But if you get somewhere between the top 15, like he's going to be able to.
I think that's everybody's like best case scenario is you can trade back. But I think you're right. I don't think that's going to be an option.
I think this,
and you're not going to get what you get in past years for it.
In the first round, I believe this is the year that guys just the first 2 rounds. This is where you pick. This is where you pick.
Yeah.
Unless something crazy. This is what I'll say. If something crazy happens in the Super Bowl, right? I could see one of those teams doing something wild.
Well, LA can't.
They don't have a pick.
LA don't have a first round pick till like 26.
Right. But like
something crazy.
Yeah, I can see like somebody feels like they're a Kayvon away at defensive. They got their strong DN. The reason why
I think that's Cincinnati, because I think Cincinnati, you look at them and they are a dominant offensive lineman or 2 away from making a 10-year run because they're so good everywhere else.
Like, yeah, and that's my point. Like, what do you need a true, like, you're never going to draft.
The problem is you can't give up enough because you're picking number 31 or 32.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's the issue. But yeah, I don't know. I can't believe we're already talking draft, man. I like the Super Bowl later. I like the fact that we're going to be dang near where we are going to be mid-February when it's played. I like that. I like the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, even though I didn't watch any of it. I saw the skills challenge, a little bit of that, because Walker was watching it or Angie was watching it. And I didn't see any of the game, but just the fact that, okay, you look at it and eventually most of the players came in because it was in Vegas.
Oh, they're not like not Tampa. Orlando's tough. I mean, it's cool. Florida's cool enough, but it's not. I don't want to work. I'd rather be in Hawaii because it was really a treat. It was a treat then.
Yeah.
And Vegas is cool, but like Vegas has its share of problems. So like that's why I want to stay away from that. Even though I don't think I'm ready to hear more. Before I talk about Alvin Kamara, I want to get more.
I
want to get more on the story.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep in that either. I did text this morning to see if I could find out anything, but I didn't hear back.
So. Okay.
For those who don't know, Alvin Kamara was arrested for what?
Beat the hell out of somebody.
Okay.
But the reason
somebody may have had it coming.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara has, when I say he travels, is documented. He's literally never been in trouble. Mm-hmm. No DUI, none of that. Like I think if sometimes you keep poking a lion, mm-hmm. and then the lion gonna show you that he's really a lion and you're not. So like, I want to see.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think that's the best way. But like, yeah, and then also can we know what the NFL has become more entertainment. It's played extremely high. It's been played high for years. And it's becoming more of an offensive league. That's what it is. So when I see guys like Dion and other people, the Pro Bowl used to mean something when I played.
Did you watch it?
Blah, blah, blah. No.
Did you watch the highlights?
All I saw was Derwin get a pick, and I saw the Diggs brothers going at each other.
Okay. So just I'm not discounting because I agree. If you're watching the Pro Bowl, you know it's soft. You shouldn't complain about it. But I will say this. I've never seen it like this before. Dude, they were just fitting up tackles. There was no tackle.
So it wasn't like now I will say there is a difference, but I just think there's a difference in the game overall.
Yeah.
So like one of my friends, and also Greg IG follow Roy Williams 31. If you don't know who Roy Williams is, you're either not a Cowboy fan or like I don't know. He was that dude. But like they were showing like a video, I think it was Marvin Harrison had blown by one of the corners, and Roy was just hauling butt. Didn't look for the interception, didn't turn around, literally, boom, just bulldozed Marvin Harrison. And like it was a different brand of football. So that's why, to me, different brand of football 10 years ago leads to that. But that even then, and then he also hit Todd Heap that year. Mm-hmm. What that leads me to believe is that he says it was 50%. That looked like a penalty in today's game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if the game has shifted, like your complaint isn't with the Pro Bowl. Your complaint is with the game of football.
Yeah.
And if you're a vet and you were really, really good, you know who's kind of to blame for that?
Yeah.
You. And Dion, like I just thought about something. Dion, you weren't known for making tackles.
No.
So
how many Pro Bowl tackles did Dion have?
We need to look that up. Tackles did Dion have? Like,
that's not many, but I would put the over under at Pro Bowl tackles as like one assist.
From a guy who literally said the reason why he doesn't make big hits or tackles is because that's not why they pay him. They pay him to shut down half of a field.
I saw everybody complaining about it, and then I got home and I turned on the highlights, and it was like, yeah, okay. It's a game. It's like a Tuesday practice. No. It's a Wednesday, Thursday practice.
You could legit at this point put flags on them, and it would be a better product than what. It's an honor. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The top players don't play in it consistently. People opt out, and I think the NFL has that. Out of all the things, the NFL has done a great job of monetizing, marketing, and putting up. This is probably the worst one. And like, so they've done a great job of making the draft fan friendly and, the combine, all these other things, which I think is maybe the downside of having it in Vegas. Like Orlando's Vegas is too. It just feels like because it's the South, like more fans could get to Orlando than they could out West.
Well, I also think they don't want to make it too big because the Super Bowl's next week.
My last part was going to be, it's going to be this way until it becomes like, so they switched them because people got to remember, like for years, the end of the football season was the Pro Bowl,
right?
And it wasn't the Super Bowl,
right?
So this way, nobody did it, but like if Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl, he at least comes to the Pro Bowl to like hang out and do this stuff. The Super Bowl guys need to focus on the Super Bowl next week. They don't have time for this, so I think that's kind of what takes away some of it as well.
Yeah, it was interesting though to see. I'm like you. I think we might as well just put flags on.
Yeah, I mean,
at this point.
Cool,
and by the way, why didn't they throw $100 million at Brady to show up? Now that he had announced his retirement, somebody should have thrown so much money at that dude to just, even if it was just one more series, because he didn't have the farewell tour, right? He didn't do that.
Oh, yeah, just to say, hey man,
this is it. Last snap I'm going to take. I would have watched.
You talking about for like this season coming up?
No,
right?
the Pro Bowl.
I really do think guys like Brady. I love it. Go out on your own terms. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying, like, you are such an iconic player that a farewell tour in general, a farewell season is needed for the NFL. Like, if I'm
not for you, but for everybody.
If I'm Roger, I'm like, yo, hey, listen, we normally do this now. We can't do this, but like, here's $50 million. Just come back one season.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows about it.
Yep.
I'll give it to you in Bitcoin if I need to. And what from there, because every game that he plays will increase the attendance.
It's
Because
like-
everybody's gonna come to
it's
see
like
the last game of Brady.
Everybody knew Roethlisberger was done, and there was a little bit of that, but it didn't get me off the couch. But Brady,
Yeah.
I'm going to the game. I'm spending whatever I got to spend to take my son to go, okay, the best to ever do it, and that probably will be true throughout your lifetime too. We're going to go watch one of his final
You're
games.
never like MJ's farewell tour, which the mini.
One of them, yeah.
But I forget the Wizards and all that. The Bulls
Mhm.
was more of the real thing. Then I wish Florida State would have done that with Bobby.
Mhm.
I get it. You know, it was.
Well,
It
but
sucked
you
because
think
if
about it,
Jimbo
though.
really wanted to go to UAB over being the offensive coordinator for one more year at Florida State. That's just God's will. But like everybody in the ACC would have benefited from coming to see.
But you
Bobby's
think
last
about
game.
these farewell tours, most of them happen for these guys who are legends, but they're past their prime. Dude, Brady's farewell tour, he could have won another Super Bowl.
They were, yeah, like
I mean,
and that's why I'm like, you could really do this in a way that nobody else is able
Yeah.
to do this, and that's
But respect to Brady for just going, nah, I'm good.
But that's also Brady.
Yep.
And that's what makes him. That's what makes people hate him. That's what makes people love him. That's what makes me respect him. I don't necessarily have a hate or love for him. I like excellence. Like I've said, if you listen to our show consistent, I like it on both sides. If you're trying to tank, I want you to be excellent in the way you tank. Lose every game. That's a competition. But yeah, that's yeah, but you know, the Pro Bowl is what it is. It's extra football, and I don't ever remember outside of Sean Taylor hitting the punter.
Brian Moorman.
Yeah, I really just don't have remember when me
Brian,
and
who lives here, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't ever have that memory like Dad. I remember when my dad would just sit me on the couch, we're lighting the fire, and we watched the Pro Bowl together.
And the funny thing is,
my dad, I didn't grow up with my dad, but the point is I don't have those loving memories.
Brian's I talked to him last week. Brian was a really good player, hence the reason he was in the Pro Bowl.
It was fast, and that's why they did that play.
What everybody remembers him for is getting just blown up by Sean Taylor. Let's move on here. Let's get to Green Acres, greenacresporting.com. Get over there for all your hunting and fishing needs. They still have AR-15s. They have everything. And I can't stress to you enough, like the education part of it. If you go see Z, he will walk you through. So like there's some people would be intimidated to walk in there.
Right.
They don't know what they're getting. He's going to be patient with you. He's going to walk you all the way through.
Z, all of them are good, man. Like
I only know Z.
Well, yeah, I got it. But say if you go in they all listen to us in there.
Even my bad, guys. I'm not saying y'all aren't good.
Z needs to. That's what happens when you're the boss and you making sure you getting your quality products. Z's gonna be like, hey, what's going on with my logo? I need my logo up there. I ain't even mad at it. But I can't remember it's an old white man with that thing on his hip. He also teaches the concealed course. But you ever seen somebody that look like, hey, he looks nice, about as friendly as he can be. We'll talk to you. But test it. He's in his 70s, but test how quick his draw is if you want to. Between him and the dogs.
I want to be that way, man. When I turn 70,
it's amazing. I love that guy. That guy's dope. But
I'm walking around with a holster.
But go there. The guys who I
may ride a horse.
Go in there, and the cool thing is a lot of people go in there and they want to go get. They're coming in to look at the ARs. They're coming in and looking at the Taurus. But then they go in and they hear about this, and they're like, okay, well, now I like this gun better. Oh, okay. And then they're giving you guidance about bullets and all this other stuff. And again, I don't want to hear the shit about the bullets. Like if you ask them when you go in, say, hey, why are y'all bullets so expensive? Bullets aren't usually this expensive. And then when you find out what they go through to actually make sure you have bullets, you'll be like, all right, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, or go somewhere
shoot.
else that is cheaper. I mean, it's not.
But you're not gonna
find them. That's the point.
And when you need it, you're gonna be like,
I had our chicken wings last night, by the way.
Yeah,
that actually ate there.
Oh, mine on Saturday were.
Oh, really?
They were great.
Yeah, they rebounded for me.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie.
That's our Super Bowl food.
So when I went,
or the big game, we're not supposed to.
This isn't hate because what I'm gonna get into is a little heavier. So I like this. This is our favorite place. This is how good they are. They pay us absolutely nothing.
They don't even know we exist.
They don't know we exist. Big Crab. Saturdays, $8.99 wings. George Foster. Big Fost, anyways. Former Georgia lineman, NFL lineman, post this post on Friday. And it was one of the most disheartening posts that I've ever seen in my life, man. Like I wanted to cry for him.
Okay.
He's just with his daughter, man, spending some good dad, being a unicorn, black father, spending time with his kid. He's like, man, me and baby girlfriend just split a 10-piece. So they go up to the spot, and in Atlanta, they put market price for wings. So people who aren't familiar with market price, you don't ever see market price for things like anything chicken, seafood, crab leg, really crab leg. You see market price. Big crab. They ain't got no price for their stuff. It says market price. And what market price means, whatever the hell it is, they feel like charging you that day.
Right.
And he was like, he went and ordered 10 wings. He said $40.
What?
You know me, anytime I hear $40, my mind automatically goes to the DR or something like that. And I was like, what comes with these wings? Like, am I getting something extra? But then I was like, wait a minute, Big Foss got his daughter with him, so he can't ask those kind of questions. But yeah, I'm sitting here like, and it was this thread of everybody saying, yeah, chicken wing shortage, and you can't do this, and Biden sucks because of this. And I'm like, I don't know where y'all getting y'all stepped on wings from, but as for me in my house, it's Saturday's wing day, $8.99, baby, lemon pepper hot.
And even not on Saturday, it's only like $11.99 for
right now. It's just Saturday. Feels like it feels good to say I paid $9 for
you're
10
under
wings.
$1 a wing.
Yeah, so like I'm cool. I'm in that. I'll go to $2 at most, maybe, depending on how if I
all day for theirs.
But for theirs, I'm just saying, like, if I was somewhere else, I gotta really want it. But like their wing that's a solid wing.
Yeah.
But like when I went there and I had to brag, and then I was like, wait a minute, Denny was just here, and they wasn't on point.
Yeah.
And the Chinese man wasn't there. It was the people who sound like they're American.
Yeah.
So when I called, I was like, all right, man, this is it's
taking a risk here.
And it was like one of those things. So I had Mr. Renee with Kai. Trey was over at Charles's house hanging out. It was like I was gonna be able to, like, it's just me and the wings.
Yep.
So I could eat
all
this.
on the face.
I could eat how I want to. And, it was ridiculous, dog. It was all on my lips. I went and then I went and laid in the bed. I was just like, sloppy.
Did you get 20?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. I went in sloppy, but like that thing was.
Whew. Oh, it was so good last night.
Because what I did was, because I think your mistake was you must not have opened them inside. Like when they messed it up, you open it up in there.
No, open inside my house.
No, saying no.
That's part of the experience. Though.
Nah.
It's like when you get it home and it's like
when you told, and I
you're unwrapping the gift.
And what happens is, they got a little styrofoam
and fold over perfectly.
So you can't
slit in it.
You got to push it back a little bit, and then it rises.
Oh,
and when it goes slow and you see the steam come out, and then it was so golden, it glows.
If you were to
when it's done right,
picture this. Picture you filling a rainbow.
Right. Okay.
That's
fair.
what it is.
That's what it is. So like I was cool, and then I went in, and nothing was going to mess up my high until I started reading. It wasn't messed up. I'm not mad, but I'm mad at people's stupidity.
Okay.
And I don't want to say mad. I'm disappointed because it's gone so many different turns and tangents that it shouldn't.
Okay.
So to where like now every time I see an ape or I see like something with it, I have to read it twice. So like when you dropped the Shaq thing, I had to read the headline like 4 or 5 times because I thought somebody said, and I'm like, damn, Shaq, you're not helping us right now. When Shaq's like,
the headline.
Okay, you gonna read it?
Because it got me to read the article.
Because I was just like, damn, Shaq, you're really not helping the cause of Black America right now. Like,
what did I send in our group?
It was in our group.
Oh, let me get to it.
But while Denny's pulling that up, Joe Rogan has made the news. And if you listen to our show consistently, every now and then we do stuff for the culture.
Hold on.
All right.
Shaquille O'Neal says gorillas freak out when he comes near, and Zoo Miami executive confirms.
I just look.
And if you read the article, like it's exactly what the headline is.
And he's amazingly tall, dark skinned, and huge. So I can understand.
They said that the gorillas are worried he's going to take their girl.
which is what
which
they
is
do.
why they flex up on him.
No, that's like it's a dominance thing. It's like
I know.
I actually watched.
Imagine the first time he walked through a zoo and a gorilla flexes on you.
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating. But like, and so that goes into the Joe Rogan thing, and we talked about. And it was funny because I think it was literally like was it a week ago or was it 2 weeks ago, where the guy had the thing that had the Jaguar, not Jaguar, excuse me, the Jacksonville Icemen. Had one of their players get pummeled by one of the few really good black players in hockey. Like, well, black families. There's 3 brothers and whatever. The youngest brother is still making his way up. Some people have said, "Oh, it was a muscle man thing." Muscle man thing is really like it's a
you flex.
you're flexing. Like the
you typically don't tickle your armpits.
Yeah, you don't bring one up and then one down.
Right.
Like I think. And that's where the gist of my disappointment is. I graduated in 3 years, man. College. I didn't score. Like, if you want to tell me math, like, I'm not the greatest at math. Reading comprehension and that stuff, I almost scored perfect on the ACT. Like, that's what I can know what I'm seeing, dog. And the problem is,
I mean, he's a hell of a charade player. Isn't that really what this is?
Yeah, right. Basically, that's what
like
it is.
If that guy were to do that and you were playing charades, what would your guess be?
You wouldn't say, "Oh, muscle man." No, like no, it's not muscle man. My point is like we're not like I get it.
Did you hear Mouse?
What did he say? What did I hear what Mouse said? Yeah, like come on, this guy, come on, man, you get it. Like you can want to forget. Like I get the CRT stuff. I don't think you should feel bad for being a white person. You shouldn't. But that doesn't give you the right to be like, all right, man, everybody else is stupid. Like you got to know at a certain point, like that's probably not the most becoming thing to call somebody. And a lot of it has to do with when you did it. So my man could have probably saved a lot of confusion with the Jacksonville guy had you did it in his face. Now you got pummeled anyway, so it didn't matter. So if he would have confused it still for 8,
instant justice,
you was getting the same ass whooping. That didn't change. But if you would have done it in his face, maybe he could have like, oh, you had like 6 inches of separation between that. You could have been like really showcasing the right.
But when you
get up under the armpit, that's when we got.
What are you flexing exactly? What flexes that?
So my point is, go to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, also that same show, was show history. It's the first time we joked about who can use the word when you can use it. We had, I don't know how many shows we've done, but we've been doing this this is year 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never used the N-word on our show. Mm-hmm. Well, part of it was because we were live radio.
Right. It's frowned upon.
But technically they could have dumped it. I'm supposed to be able to use it. I'm telling you, I've used it one time in context on our show as a black man. Joe Rogan used that shit 70 times as a white man. And then that's a lot. And then the compilation is just like, yo, how many times were you in a situation where you had to use the textbook definition of the N-word, and why we keep talking about this, and why?
So it was the hard ER?
Yeah, it was ER. But here's my problem. I wouldn't even have a problem. I don't really say what you want to say. But again, like this, don't cower from the consequences, and don't give me a fake apology. Because here's why I don't want his apology. Because whatever, say what you want to say. Joe Rogan can fight too, so it ain't gonna be like an easy ass whooping, like if he says it. But he's never said it when a black guest was on there. It's just like the guy who did it behind Subban's back. Do it when T.I.'s there. Do it with Young Jeezy. Do it when you know what? Fine, those are some goons with track records. You had Neil deGrasse on your show before, who's one of the smartest men. Like, do it when he's on there. But you did it. You know why? Because you have common fucking sense. You know when it's, you know what that word is. And then the people who defend it, because, why can't I say it? Well, then say it. Go ahead. Well, you can't because in the First Amendment, First Amendment, no, I'm pretty sure there's been no law passed by the government that says if you say the N-word, you're going to jail. What you're going to face is public. And again, that's you don't want the accountability. You want to be able to say the word and be free from it. Say it. I think it's bolder to do it that way. Now, that's not what really bothered me.
Okay.
Because people use that, and I know people use it in rap songs. What bothered me, and this is what we talked about the other day, in no way, shape, or form do I want you calling me an ape or a monkey. And he literally described a black neighborhood as Planet of the fucking Apes.
Oh.
There's no way to get around that. Like, there's no excuse from it. Mm-hmm. And even in all of it, that's what I'm really mad about. I'm like, come on, bro. You know that. And again, you did not say it in front of black people. You said it in a room where you were comfortable saying it. And now the only reason you're apologizing is because it came out. And what makes it worse is if anybody knows this famous R&B group in the 90s, great song. They even made a Christmas version of it, which I actually like better than the normal version. H-Town, Somebody Rockin' Knockin' the Boots. It's a phenomenal song. Go download it.
I couldn't have told you who sung that though.
It was one of the first cassettes I ever bought.
Okay.
So it has a meaningful place. Dino was one of the lead singer. He's passed. Dino has a child who is Joe Rogan's fucking stepdaughter. So you have a black stepdaughter that you practically raised, bro. You can't tell me the N-word is like, you don't know the N-word is bad, because here's what Joe Rogan would do, because Joe Rogan embodies this. And it's one of the qualities he's got. Joe Rogan is an intellectual tough guy. That's what he embodies. If you were walking with your daughter and some random white guy said, look at you with that N-word baby, would you say, wait a minute, it's First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, call my child whatever you want to call my child? If you would, I'd look at you as less of a man. Bigger than that. If one of your friends says, oh, you got a little mixed color girl over there in your house, I bet your house smell like an ape cave. Or it's Planet of the Apes at your house. You wouldn't allow that. You would know. That's the problem with some of this stuff is y'all. It's not even that you're not smart. You're playing with other people's intelligence when you act like it's not offensive. You know it's offensive.
I know very little about the Joe Rogan thing. I will say I've listened to Joe Rogan's show and I thought it was good. Like I listen to podcasts based on who the guests are.
Facts.
Most of the time.
He has great guests.
Amazing guests. Like whoever books his show is unbelievable, because they even have guests that you have no idea who they are, that you end up like, man, this dude's interesting. So I haven't listened to a lot of this, but because Joe Rogan doesn't affect anything I do in my life. So I'm not going to get
what happened.
But how long ago was the N-word stuff?
I have no idea.
Because my only question is, why didn't that get brought up?
So this is what Dave Portnoy put up, and I'm not knocking, and it probably no. I think it is. It's an agenda because a lot of people don't like Joe Rogan. A lot of people like him. He's very polarizing.
He hurt some feelings recently with the COVID stuff, and he got.
But the thing everybody brings up, Joe Rogan is an excellent wordsmith. He's incredibly intelligent. He knows exactly what he's doing. He can take information and spin it however he wants to. Now he got really schooled by one guy on COVID, like literally. And that's that came out, and then people, whatever. It's his opinion.
But how'd it go from that to this?
But what I'm saying is Portnoy is like, people want to, they're like, it's an attack from the left to silence him and do other things. And I always say, like, yeah, that's true. But if he never said it,
right.
They wouldn't have anything to attack.
Forget the attack. Why didn't that happen earlier?
I think it's just now. I think it's just really now. And I think
he's got 11 million listeners, bro.
This is the sad part. And
you can't tell me out of those 11 million, there's not some black people.
It's tons
that heard that.
It's tons. I've just never heard the show. It shocked me because of how many black people he's had on in the encounters and how intelligent he is with a lot of this stuff. But those things, I think maybe there is a coordinated attack. But like, if you never did it, and when people were like, one person was, Portnoy said this. And I like David Portnoy too from a business standpoint. I like Joe Rogan, but I'm also that same guy that says I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh. I didn't listen to Rush Limbaugh because I love Rush Limbaugh. I love the structure of his show. I thought he was good at what he did. As I said earlier, I am a fan of excellence. So, but I also know I'm not dumb. I am truly an open thinker, and I know what Rush Limbaugh is doing. And a lot of these people that you guys go and y'all really take these polarizing sides. If you get to know these people, they don't believe what you believe. They just know you're a dummy. And
they're actors.
They're
entertainers.
I learned it in what we do. And I'm not calling it. It's a little bit of an act.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's because it's entertainment. Like we have to engage you. We're using, even Joe Rogan has his YouTube side or the visual. Most people are listening to this in an audio format, so we have to paint a picture for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's just dry eyes, clear eyes, you're not going to listen. But anyways, Portnoy said it was a long time ago. It was 12 years ago is when he started this podcast. So somewhere over the course of 12 years, he said the N-word 70 times. Mm-hmm. And the only reason I know 70 times is Spotify had to come in and delete 70 episodes because they had the word in it.
Yeah.
And Spotify's working really, really hard to keep him. And how it became more news, because first it was a COVID, and then the guy from one of them old ass white bands said, I want my music pulled from Spotify. I said, man, you know what? Whatever. But when I found out about an Indy Irie, who is a indie, like a neo soul singer. A lot of y'all might not know. I know who she is. She's a good artist. She says, I'm not pulling it because of COVID. I don't even care. She's like, and this is how I'm at. She's like, I don't even care if you don't listen to Spotify. If you're a person, I don't want you to boycott it. I just know I don't want my music on there when you're paying him $100 million to be able to say that word, and you're giving me 3% on a penny as the artist when your platform is literally artist based. So where Spotify might have an issue, and this is what people don't understand, his First Amendment rights are good. They're golden Gucci. Spotify as a business has to ask, who streams the most and what songs are streamed the most? And do those people look like the 70 episodes we had to cancel? Because what happens with all artists, because it's not like Tidal pays the most. We all need it. I'm not going to pull sports then from it because I don't know what our numbers are.
I also think like the fact that this is a guy. I mean, if you're gonna bring if somebody's gonna bring money into this is a guy who is probably at the top of the game right
without
now.
a doubt.
Like if you're bringing 11 million ears to Spotify, well then now they're not on Pandora, and so Indy, whatever her name is, they're bringing people to you too.
I'm saying like
Joe Rogan is a machine. It's like Howard Stern and Sirius,
which is also the reason why I tell people, because the whole premise again, Joe Rogan gonna be okay. The craziest thing is it goes to my thing. Joe Rogan gonna be fine.
Joe Rogan make more money at this point if he did his own thing.
That's my point.
Yeah,
you can't cancel him, and nobody is, because if you really want to listen, if Joe Rogan really wants to put his stuff out, Joe Rogan will make joerogan.com and he will stream his show on there, and everybody who liked him will still have the ability to listen to
him. You know who I thought of the other day that you could make the argument? Now, it took him a while. He's back. It took him a while. But somebody that was really at the top of whatever your game is, Bill O'Reilly. Remember that Joker?
Yeah. Well, Bill O'Reilly messed himself up because he was being a hypocrite.
That's what I'm saying. But
because when you don't beat your wife, like, or your ex-wife, like, and then vilify people of color or other for doing the same thing.
But to your point, like that's the only one I can remember.
Rush Limbaugh too. Pillhead. Remember when he took he took a little dive and then he had to come back and get what he needed. Like,
listen, when Rush passed away, he was making more money he's ever made in his career.
Which was sometimes was my, like, to me, honestly,
Bill O'Reilly actually selling like newsletters.
You just made me think about it, because I don't think Joe Rogan's that stupid, especially having a black daughter. Joe Rogan might have planted this himself.
He may be
because
doing
like
his
you
own
just
thing.
said,
He may be trying to get out of the Spotify contract.
Rush Limbaugh, and then who was the other dude that called the girls from Rogans nappy headed?
Oh, no, he didn't recover like that. Imus?
Yeah, but when he got back on, he was making more money than he originally made.
He wasn't Rush.
What a lot of people don't realize is sometimes they're really doing this more to expose where the racists are and how they can go make money from the racists. As my biggest joke is, one day, even though I'm a fiscal conservative, registered Republicans, not new. But I know if I ever want to be an instant millionaire, I'm literally going to Candace Owens route. I know who to pander to. Liberals don't pay bills. Conservatives write checks, and everybody's looking for right now. Everybody's looking for a black person to be able to say it's okay. So I know now if you want to pay me, if you want to subscribe when we do our Patreon, enough of y'all just make sure you know. Be like, James, I'm a racist. I'm paying $100 for your Patreon. I'll start shifting and catering to you a little bit more because, but. Then people,
there's no Martin Luther King in this building.
No. Martin Luther King died penniless and broke, and his family had to suffer. Like, you think I'm finna do that? I got 2 boys, and I don't want them being broke. But
you can teach them the right ways in a nicer house,
right? Like, we can. Like, hey, this is what Dad does. Dad laughs at these people.
It's wrong.
It's wrong, so that you don't have to do this.
Here's $1,000.
Right.
Go get a PlayStation.
But the opinions between that and the Flores thing that's come out is like yesterday was nobody's oppressed in this country. Well, nobody's ever been oppressed. This is just great. I'm like, yeah, thank you, white woman. That's exactly what I needed to change my mind. I needed an older middle class white woman to tell me that I wasn't oppressed.
So
now I know.
Though, it's the worst thing about social media. Like 90% of the world don't feel that way.
It's just a small
Betty
majority
in Montana, who's seen a total of 4 black people in her life. Like somehow she finds a way to your vision through Twitter or something like that. I'm thinking about doing like a Twitter absence for a while.
I know a lot of people who do that. I mean, I just mute a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff nothing really ever truly just
Twitter's the only reason I'm on it.
They're great.
They're fantastic.
Like nothing, like I said, even the Joe Rogan thing didn't bother me. It's just, I'm like, yo, this is really what some of y'all think. And then I'm like, people who don't understand amendments, they don't understand these things. And I'm just like, the only downside with having people who are that vocal, and they may be being, I think sometimes normal people get caught up in being a character as well. Is that
no doubt.
I got, because I'm gonna let you know this, and I'm different than a lot. I got 2 young boys that are growing up, and I know some of these people are the same age as me, maybe a little bit older, but they got kids that are around my children's age. And like, I just hope that I don't have to mess you up because you have implanted this improper thinking into future generations. Because I think one day we will get to a point where it's classes. And I actually welcome that because I think I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wanted to be classist. I'd rather it be classist than racist.
Right.
We're not there yet. And probably I shouldn't say that either, but my point is I know what I'm going to do. And I don't want anybody feeling bad for being white. You should not feel bad for being white. But what you should know is that a lot of times white people do get the benefit of the doubt. That's as much of that's the privilege.
We say this all the time. 2 things can be true. It can be true that there's never in this country's history been a more productive, easier time to live in as an African American.
Right.
But it also can be true that there's still things that need to improve that are pretty obvious. Those 2 things can be true.
Not mutual. Like, perfect example. I can go to the bank and get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
My so the reason why I don't have generational wealth is not bad, but this is it. My great grandfather who fought in World War II was not awarded the GI Bill like many African American GIs weren't afforded the opportunity. The house that he bought in New Jersey, he had to pay for in cash at a time when people were getting loans. Mm-hmm. So let's just say something simple. It cost $2,000 for that house back then. I have no idea what it was cost, but that's $2,000. That $2,000 he had to scrum up and put together to be able to buy it. Now, when that property value increased, there was this thing called redlining, where he could not sell that house to go move into a better neighborhood to continue to grow and bring the wealth. That's not even including segregation, which my mother was the first person in my family who was able to attend desegregated schools. That's not including a lot of the other stuff. Like, you can't just one day say, boom, we got the Civil Rights Act, and now magic fairy dust has sprinkled and everybody started at zero without a redistribution of wealth. That never happened. I'm not even asking for that. But what I will say is this. There have been times in my life, no matter how easy you think it is, that I was like, damn, I wish my great granddaddy would have just passed for white. Because he looks like an old Irish. He looked like an Irishman. But he didn't. Because the benefits that I would have now might be different than they were.
We're only 50, not even. We have probably 15 years since they changed banking to where race can't be asked.
Right.
Right. I mean, 15 years ago, like in this century, like, interest rates were based off of the answer to that question.
And then even some of the stuff, like I can't, like, we talked about me. Like, there's been times when I wish I could be more vocal when I was younger, but I knew it would affect my business. There's things that, even in the again, well-meaning stuff, like during quarantine when some of the outbreak, the protest and stuff was happening. I was asked by the station at that time, like, what can we do to do that? And I'm like, well, don't nobody need another apology. What people need to know is how can they grow? How can we make this one more diverse station? I was like, I don't even know how you get hired. And then here was what the process was told to me. They named 5 employees, 2 black, myself being one of them because it ain't but so many, and then 3 were white. One guy just was hanging around. They said that's how he got the job. He was just hanging around for long enough and just did everything, which is cool. One person met at a live show, and then somebody just took a liking to him, which is cool. The other person, something very similar happened to them. They're all prominent members of the media now. They got an opportunity to grow. The 2 African Americans, and at the time there were only 2. Actually, there were only 2 voices on that show. One was a 3-time national championship winner, all pro, played 10 years in the NFL. The other one was myself, with my accolades. If you look at it, in order to get a job at that station, as an African American, you literally have to be an exceptional Negro. You have to be in the 1% to get a job that doesn't pay you millions and millions of dollars, and other people just have to show up. That's not fair, and that's not knocking what they do. Those people, I won't name their names, they work their ass off to stay where they're at. I'm not knocking them. They should not feel bad for the situation they're in.
No, I just have
they
bad
should
news
grind.
for you. How are you going to explain RJ?
RJ is a producer
That
barely gets a voice, and he makes pennies. So again, that's cool.
True. Yeah,
that's a cool thing, but like he's not a pro. And then the other one, like again, but and RJ's good. RJ works his ass off. He's just awkward. ET similar. ET works his ass off, but ET's again. He has to be connected to exceptionalism because of who his damn brother is.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's done a really, really good role carving a job. Really good job carving a role out for himself. I'm not suggesting that the people are anybody's racist or any of those things. I'm just telling you what the situation is. And eventually it will be a point where we do hire the best person, and you can have equal grounds. What I'm saying is to say that, like for myself, that I'd have never faced the pressure because I have bettered my situation is like me saying, you know what, if I were, which is worse, but actually what you're saying is worse. This is like the thought I have, like, yo, if I was white with the same resume, I'd probably be a multimillionaire at this point. You don't want me to say that. I damn sure don't want you to tell me about what I have to face every day in my oppression.
Yeah, the comments are going to be fun. By the way,
before
y'all start commenting, like, it's 2 Republicans sitting here. Just, I don't know what James voting history is, but I'm pretty much party line on it. So you can think different ways. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't like and then they don't like one. Like I called, and this is the funniest thing, and I'll end it with this: is a lot of you guys have the stances that y'all have, but don't even realize that you wouldn't even be invited in the room with some of the people that you have the stances that you have for. I bring this up, and I would have met with him if he would have won, because I'm not at the end of the day, I'm about results. Mm-hmm. And if he could have helped me get more money to get more damn book bags to the neighborhood in which I came out with, I would have gladly met with him. And that's 45. That's Donald Trump.
Okay.
When Donald Trump came to Jacksonville, he's come to Jacksonville numerous times. Both times people have reached out to me to show up to the event to get an opportunity to meet with him. When Rick Scott was the governor here, I had numerous meetings with Governor Scott at the time to do those things. I am not one of those people who, I'm more like Ice Cube when it comes to that. I'm going to figure out how to get what I need to get, because it's not going to change who's in office.
Right.
If to not work with who's in office is asinine. I didn't, just I had my reasons, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, it just, I had my reasons. But the reality, what I was laughing at is like, these people who go and sell out and say this and that, you'll never get an opportunity to meet that guy because you're so focused on the gang affiliation and not with the progress. And a lot of these guys, even if it's in their best interest, are still focused on what the progress would be.
Yeah.
So like I always joke with people, like I'm willing to work with whoever.
So we have no idea if we'll be back Wednesday or not. That's up to James on if he's going to Super Bowl or not. So I don't know what our schedule is this week.
I haven't booked the flight, so we probably will be on
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay. I had 8 o'clock, but I'll save it because we're
We're way low.
Yeah, we're way over. Yeah. Oh crap. Yeah, way over. All right. We'll see you guys at some point this week. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. If James doesn't go, we'll be back Wednesday at noon. See you then.